Okay, good afternoon class. Right, so at this point we are looking at the paper you guys have written. We got up until question 5. Hopefully we can finish this 6. Okay, we started with 6. Hopefully we can finish this paper today. Alright, so determine the nominal interest rate if the investment receives R% per annum compounded monthly, whereas effectively it receives 8.3% per annum. So your effective to nominal conversion is 1 plus I effective equals 1 plus I to the M over M to the exponent M. So since you are given an effective interest rate, so it's 1 plus 0,083 is equal to 1 plus I to the M, which we are calculating. And remember that M has no bearing on that I. We just write it there to differentiate between those two I values there. So it will be I over compounded monthly, so it's 12 to the 12. So that's going to be 1,083, the 12th root thereof, to get rid of the 12. Then I'm left with 1 plus I over 12, we take 1 over, becomes minus 1, so I over 12 is equal to that there. We multiply this answer then by 1200. Okay, so your rate is then equal to, so it's 1200 into the 12th root of, or you can do it in parts as well, it's the same thing. The 12th root is that, 12th root of 1,083 minus 1. Okay, so that gives you 8%. Alright. Let's go to the next question. 6.2. We are told that Vincent invests an amount with B&S Bank at an investment and at an interest of 12% per annum compounded monthly. His investment grew to, so that's going to be your A value, of course, of 8,450 Rand at the end of 10 years. That's your time. Determine the amount that Vincent initially invested. That's your rate. Okay, so since it's compound interest, A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent N. So it's 8,450 is equal to P, which you're calculating, 1 plus I, which is 0,12 over compounded monthly is 12 to the 12 times 10. So P of course is equal to 8450 over 1 plus 0,12 over 12 to the exponent 120. So that gives me 8450 over 1 plus 0.12 over 12 to the exponent 120. That gives you an answer of 2,560 Rand. 2,560 Rand and 31 cents. Is that correct? Okay. People, at this point you should have done the paper, otherwise you will feel that we are moving just too fast for you. Okay. Also the paper can be found in the description box below. Okay. People, in question 6.3 we are told that a business installs a server to the value of 500,000 Rand. Okay, it's a lot of money. The value of the server depreciates at 20% per annum according to diminishing balance method. Diminishing balance and reducing balance method, of course, is the same. Calculate the scrap value, which is the A value, of the server at the end of 6 years. So compound depreciation is 1 minus I, is P into 1 minus I to the exponent N. So it's going to be 500,000 into 1 minus 0,2 to the exponent 6 years. Okay. The scrap value or the value of the item at that point. So it's 500,000 into 1 minus 0.2 to the exponent 6. Okay. So this the value of the server after 6 years is 131,000 and 72 Rand. Okay. And the next question says in 6.3.2 we are asked The server needs to be replaced after 6 years. Calculate the amount required in 6 years' time if the inflation rate is at 7% per annum and the old server will be traded in. So if they trade in the old server, this is the amount that they will receive. So in other words, the company doesn't have to fork out that 131,000 Rand extra. So that has to come off from the amount needed in future. So for the compound formula, it's the same as your simple interest. Your compound interest and your inflation interest is the same formula. So if the server currently costs 500,000 Rand, in 6 years' time it will cost 500 into 1 plus 0.07 to the exponent 6. It will cost 750,365,18. Okay, so therefore the shortfall or the amount needed is of course 750,365.18 minus 131,072 Rand. So it's going to be minus 131.72 Rand. Okay. Gives you 619,293 Rand. 293 Rand and 18 cents. Okay. That's the shortfall needed, of course, in future or in 6 years' time. Okay. People in 6.4, we are told that Stephen deposits 3,500 into a savings account. 3 years later, he adds 5,000. The interest for the first 2 years is okay. So of course, a timeline would be the better option here. Okay. So we say Stephen deposits 3,500 Rand. So it's T0. 3 years later, so it takes you to T3. He adds 5,700 Rand to the account. The interest for the first 2 years, that's T2, of course, is 7% per annum compounded quarterly. The interest for the last 3 years, so 3 years, then takes you to T5. The last 3 years, of course, is 8% per annum compounded monthly. Calculate the balance in the savings account at the end of 5 years. People, of course, there's many ways of doing this here. I'm just going to work it out together. I'll consider the 3,500 Rand first. So the interest rate change, so that's 2 years. So it's 1 plus 0.07 over 4 to the exponent 4 times 2. Then what happens to it? It has an interest rate change of 8% compounded monthly, and that is for 3 years. Okay. Now I'm considering, I must add that 5,700 Rand, 5,700 all the way to the end, which is 1 plus 0.08 over 12 to the exponent 12 times. How many years is that? 2 years. Okay. You see what if I get here? It's going to be 3,500 into 1 plus 0.07, and that is over 4, of course, to the exponent 8 times 1 plus 0.8 over 12 to the exponent 12 times 3, which is 36, plus 5,700 into 1 plus 0.08 over 12 to the exponent 12 times 2, which is of course 24. Is that correct? 11,700. 11,793 Rand and 19 cents. People, that's one way of looking at it. Otherwise, what I could have done was, I could have said, firstly, 3,500 into 1 plus 0.07 over 4 to the exponent 2 times 4. You first work that out. Okay? Then you take that answer and then you change the interest rate for 1 year. So is that answer? into 1 plus 0,08 over 12 to the exponent 12 times 1. You take that answer there, we add 5,700 to it, that becomes your new principal now. That answer into 1 plus 0,08 over 12 to the exponent, 12 times 2, should give you the same answer of 11,793 Rand and 19 cents, of course. Okay. Alright, so let's look at question 7.1. You are given f of x equal to 3x minus x squared. Determine f prime x from first principles. People, if it says first principles or definition, we need to do the following. F prime x is equal to the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x, and that's all over h. So if f of x is 3x minus x squared, then f of x plus h will simply be 3 into x plus h minus x plus h squared. Okay. You don't have to write that on the side. So that gives us, I'm going to do the first step of simplifying it. So it's going to be 3x plus 3h minus x squared minus 2xh minus h squared minus, in brackets, f of x, which is 3x minus x squared all over h. So I go the limit as h approaches 0. Start simplifying. That's going to give you negative 3x, cancels 3x. That will give you x squared, cancels negative x squared. As you can see, what we are left with is 3h minus 2xh minus h squared. We take out h as a common factor, so it's 3 minus 2x minus h all over h. And of course, again, the h's cancel. Wherever I see a h, I put a 0, which also cancels, gives you 3 minus 2x. And it can be confirmed by applying your rules of your differentiation, or the power rule as they fondly call it to be. Okay. Let's look at 7.2. So here we will be applying the rules of differentiation. As how do we know that? Is because the question did not say by first principles. Only when they say by first principles do I apply the rules of differentiation. The first principles. Okay. Hello? Yes, boss? You saying? No, I don't. No, I can bring it in tomorrow, it's fine. Okay, I'll take a photo of it and I'll send it to you later when I get home. Anytime, boss. Okay, go. Okay, so what we need to first do is, we need to convert it in such a way so that I can apply the power rule there. So that is, the first term is fine. The second term I'm going to bring that x up, it becomes x to the minus 1, minus the root of x can be written as x to the half. So that is suffice for me to apply the power rule. So dy over dx, of course, is equal to 3x squared, minus minus, so it gives you plus, and multiplying the exponent by the coefficient, and the minusing 1, of course, is negative 2, and then a half times negative 1 is negative half, minus 1, of course, is negative half. Now you can change that to a positive exponent if you like, but that was not the condition or the requirement. Okay, is that correct? Okay. So let me know when I'm going wrong. Okay. People, in 7.2.2, we are given now if prime x is f of x is equal to, what did I write? Did I write dy dx in the yeah. So as you can see here, it's a cubic factorization there. So f of x is equal to, it's going to give you 2x minus 1. Square the first term is 4x squared. That times that is going to give you 2x plus the last term squared, of course, over 2x minus 1. And of course this cancels, which gives me now f of x to be 4x squared plus 2x plus 1. We can apply my derivative now. So f prime x, of course, 2 times 4 is 8x plus 2. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the next question. In question 8, we are given x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 8. Calculate the intercepts of the graph of f of g with the axis show all calculations. Okay, so as you can see here, for the x-intercept we let y equal to 0. Now we can do it one of two ways, but what I notice here is that I have a common factor. The first two, which is x squared, is common, so I'm left with x minus 2. The next two, I got negative 4 as a common factor, so it's x minus 2. So we got x minus 2, then I'm left with x squared minus 4. Now of course that's x minus 2, for that is going to be x plus 2, x minus 2. Then of course my x-intercept, we let y equal to 0, so 0 is equal to that of course, so x is equal to 2 or x is equal to negative 2. Okay. Then for your y-intercept, what do you do for y-intercept? We let x equal to 0. So g of 0 of course is equal to 8. So we got 2 minus 2 on your x and 8 on your y there for 5 marks. Okay, so let's just keep that there. Just drop that a bit. Determine the coordinates of the turning point. How do you calculate the coordinates of the... Okay, so I need this off here. How do you calculate the coordinates of the turning point? It will be... So how do I calculate the turning point? First derivative, let's set it equal to 0. So it's 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. I set it equal to 0, I can drop that. So x works out to be one of two values. Either you use the quadratic formula, or if you now to factorize it using the rules of factorization, trinomial factorization, or I just use this calculator here easily. You get x value of 2 as we knew it. It's bouncing off there because there was 2 in one solution then. And then you got negative 3 over 3. Negative 2 over 3, sorry. Now to calculate the corresponding y value, I substitute that into the original equation. So g of 2 of course is 0. And of course g of negative 2 over 3 is going to be, so if I say x, I put a negative 2 over 3. So I say negative 2 over 3 there is going to be answer cubed. I'm putting it into the original function. Minus 2 answer squared. Minus 4 answer plus 8. That gives me 2, 5, 6 over 27. Come inside. No?
I just need you to sign your copy. No problem.
What did you have clones na?
Yeah.
Now you only have the clones,
Yeah.
Can I have two greetings?
Yeah. You're gonna go home now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Speel mama. Right at the bottom, boss. I kept it there for you, man. You know. Where do I sign? Oh, is this the one on top? Is this one here? No. What is it? Oh, about it.
Yeah, about one.
Yeah. I think that's one. No. Thanks.
So-
I'll send you a photo later.
So the reason I'm asking that is because, sorry, the laptop serial is different to the boxes serial. I only noticed that now.
So somebody got the different box to the...
Yeah. The boxes is the correct boxes that the laptop came in. But for some reason the serial on the laptop itself is different to the box. It's not supposed to be that. Yeah.
So it's on all the boxes like it.
All of it is different. Laptop doesn't correspond with the box. So that's why I'm getting the actual laptop serial numbers now.
Oh, I see.
So anyway, thank you.
No problem. Okay, so the coordinates of the turning point is 2 and 0, and of course negative 2 over 3 and 256 over 27. It will be beneficial to know more or less what that would be. I think it's like 10 comma something. Oh yeah, close to 10. 9,45, 9.5 approximately. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off here so that I can keep the original equation in focus here. Okay. That is the 230 points. And of course the graph is going up then down. So the more negative one will be your maximum, your local maximum. This is going to be your local minimum. You don't have to write that in, of course. Okay. So let's look at 8.3. Question 8.3, we are told, sketch the graph of G, clearly indicating the intercept with the axis and as well as its turning points. So we take that into account now. Remember the graph is turning at 2 and at -2. So it's approximately the same size there. And then the graph is turning at 2, so it's going to turn there, and negative 2 over 3. So that is x is equal to negative 2/3, and it's turning high at 9.5. Okay, remember the graph is bouncing off here from the axis. Of course, you must write that turning points in, 256 over 27. Okay, that's quite a nice graph there. It's simple to have drawn, that's not so difficult. The next question says, for which values of x will g of x be concave up? Now concavity is polarity swaps at the point of inflection. So how do I calculate the point of inflection? Of course, is the second derivative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this now off. I don't need that anymore. That is part of it. Just pull this question up here. Okay, I can't make this much bigger. That looks ugly. So now they want to know with regards to concave up. So remember that the point of inflection, that is concave up, and of course that is concave down. Okay. So the point of inflection is the second derivative. Just take this. So actually needed the previous one. So g dash x is equal to 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. So g double dash of x, of course, is going to give you 6x minus 4. Is that equal to 0? So x works out to be 4 over 6, which is 2/3. So if that is x is equal to 2/3, then it has to be in that direction. So in other words, therefore x has to be greater than 2 over 3. Okay. Let's look at 8.5. Here we are told that determine the equation of the tangent to g at x equal to 2. So you now go on the graph where is x equal to 2 is actually here. So the only way you can draw a tangent is going through that line there. So in other words, it's your x-axis. But what is the equation of the x-axis? Therefore y is equal to 0 will be the equation of the tangent at that point. Okay, let's carry on. In question 9, a cylinder, a cylindrical prism with no top. Okay, with no top, has a volume of 3,400 milliliters. Very important to remember is that 1 centimeter cube is equal to 1 milliliter cube. Okay, that's your golden ratio. Okay, don't forget that. The question says write down the height in terms of x. The height in terms of x. So remember that we are given the volume. So volume of a prism is going to be area of base times height. So how do you calculate the area of a circle? Is pi r squared times your height. But that is 3,400. So to get the height on its own, I divide both sides by pi r squared. And therefore your height is going to be 340 over pi r squared. That's what your height will be. Okay. Let's look at 9.2. In question 9.2 we are asked to show that the surface area of the cylinder. Let's pull this over here. So 9.2 in the red. 9.2 we must show that the surface area of the cylinder prism with no top is given as. So to calculate the surface area of the prism is going to be perimeter of base times height plus 2 area of base. That is when the top is on, but there is no top. So the surface area is equal to the perimeter of a circle, which is 2 pi r times height plus area of a base is going to be 2 pi r squared. The height is defined as 340 over pi r squared, so it's 2xr into 340 over pi r squared. Okay, plus pi r squared. I just realized now I have to change this to x because x is r. Okay. So in the next step I'll just do the simplification there. So r cancels with one of the two r's. Okay, which now gives me 340 times 2 is 680. This is pi, no? 380 pi also cancels. Okay. So the only thing I'm left with is that x at the bottom. So it's 680x plus pi x squared, and that is what I managed to prove there anyway. Okay. Then the question in 9.3 says, question 9.3, it says determine the value for x for which the least amount of metal is required. So it's the minimum amount of metal required to manufacture this cylindrical prism. So in other words, you are calculating the minimum value. Whenever you're calculating minimum or maximum, you apply the first derivative and set equal to 0 there. So you apply the derivative for the surface area. So I'm just going to bring that up first. So your surface area is equal to pi x squared plus 680 x to the minus 1. So ds over dx, I apply my derivative now. So it's 2 pi x plus, now it actually minus. So it's going to be 680 x minus 2 and I set equal to 0. Now drop that. So it's going to be negative 680 over x squared is equal to negative 2 pi x. Okay, so I cross multiply. So it's going to be negative 680 is equal to negative 2 pi x cubed. Okay, so in pursuit of calculating x there, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2 pi. Negative 2 pi. So x cubed is equal to, of course that cancels. 6 is going to give you 340 over pi. They take the cube root both sides. So x is equal to the cube root of 340 over pi. It's 4,7. Is right? 4,77. 477. 4,77 centimeters in length there. Okay. As the question says, determine the value of x. If then asks you, calculate the volume, calculate the value, calculate the amount of metal required, then I would have, for a minimum, then I would have done this, and then my next step would have been to substitute it back into the equation to get that answer. Yes, Michael? Oh, your hand not up? Okay. It is up, but you don't ask a question. Nice. Okay. People question 10, 10.1. We are told that the health survey in South Africa shows that most people are carriers of a deadly disease. 100 people were tested, and the findings are that 3 out of 45 females and 7 males tested positive. Okay? The contingency table below shows a summary of the survey. Alright. So males disease, female total positive, not positive total, and so on. Okay. The question says, determine the probability that a male from those tested is positive. The probability is number of favorable outcomes over number of possible outcomes. So favorable is 7, so it's 7 over 11. Is that? Or 0.07 or 7%. All of that is acceptable. You can either write it in decimal fraction or as a percentage. Okay. Let's look at the next question. The next question says, the number of males in South Africa. Determine the number of males in South Africa with a population estimated at 50 million who are likely to be positive. So if it's 7 out of every 100, so it will be 50 million multiplied by 7 over 100. So it's 7 over 100 multiplied by 50 million. Gives you 3.5 million. Is that correct? Huh? A lot of people. 3,500,000 people. Okay. The next question says, does the data show that being a carrier of the deadly disease is independent of gender? Give a reason for your answer. So we know 4 independent events. That's in the right here. 4 independent events. We know that the probability of A times the probability of B must be equal to the probability of A intersection B. If that is the case, then events are independent. Okay, they happen on their own. Okay, so it doesn't have a bearing on each other. So they're independent. So I'm going to go with, since I have already calculated the probability of being positive and being male, I know what that is already. So the probability of male and positive, intersection positive, is calculated already to be 7 over 100. So let's see what's the probability of male times the probability of being positive. So probability of being male is 55 over 100 multiplied by the probability of being positive is 10 out of 100. So if this answer is also 7 over 10, then they are independent. Okay. Of course it's not. So that gives us an answer of 10 over 100. So that is an answer of 11 over 200. Okay. So what do we say now in conclusion? That since the probability of male intersection positive is not equal to the probability of male times the probability of being positive, therefore events are not independent. Or we can say that the events are dependent. They're dependent on each other. Okay, let's look at the last question. 10.2. A bag contains 6 red balls. So red is 6. Blue is 9. A marble is drawn from the bag but not replaced. So you're taking a marble out at random and not being put back. The question says, are the events dependent or independent? It's definitely going to be dependent. Why? Because it depends on what color ball you draw in the first draw. It will depend, it will affect your second draw. Can you see that? However, if you had put that ball back and then you have equal chance of drawing whatever ball as in the first case, or your first draw, as in your second, or your first event as in your second event. But if that ball is not replaced, it's kept behind, then of course your second draw is dependent on your first draw. Okay, so your answer is dependent. Then point 2.2, draw a tree diagram to represent this to represent the above events. So we got red and blue. In total there are 15 balls in the bag. So what's the probability of drawing a red on your first event? 6 out of 50. On your second, drawing a blue is 9 out of 50. Now, if you had drawn a blue on your first draw, sorry, a red, then of course you got one less red in the bag, which is 5 over 14 balls, because that one is not being replaced. However, you still have 9 blues out of 14 balls. However, if I had drawn a blue first, then the red would remain the same, 6 out of 14, and one less blue, of course, to choose from is 8 out of 14. So, of course, my outcomes are red, 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 blue, blue, red, and blue, blue. You need to work out to show your probability as well, which you don't have to, unless they ask you to show it. So it's the probability, no? So the probability of red is 6 over 15 times 9 over 14. Blue red is going to be 9 over 15 times 6 over 14. And of course blue is 9 over 15 times 8 over 15. Okay. And the last question in the paper we are told, okay, with that information now, calculate the probability of drawing one blue and one red marble. Now they didn't tell us the order. They just said blue or one red. If I had said blue then a red, then it must be blue first then a red. And it can only be that course. Okay. But because it's not specified, it can be red then blue or blue then red. So the probability is going to be 6 over 15 multiplied by 9 over 14 plus 9 over 15 times 6 over 14. That gives us an answer of 6 over 15 times 9 over 14 plus 9 over 15 times 6 over 14. Going to give you 18 over 35 or 0.514. Okay, so that basically brings us to the end of paper 1. Okay.